Hello everybody, welcome to the World of Max, where we do a bunch of crazy shenanigans. Today, we're going to continue reading, hopefully maybe finish. Every time I do an intro, my freaking phone has a notification. Hopefully today we're going to finish Hello Neighbor, Missing Pieces. And it falls on the ground. Anyways, let's get started, shall we? Okay, we read it to chapter 8. We stopped on chapter 8, I think. Yeah, we did. So we read about that much the last episode. There's about this much left. So let's see here. We're probably gonna read to about chapter 14, so it's not much. Let's get started. Chapter 8. Oh wait, I don't remember any of the voices I did. Whatever. Chapter 8. By late July, we've picked our way through most of the locks at the Golden Apple Factory. I've gotten almost as good as Aaron, but I don't feel the need to tell him that. He already knows. Most of the time, I think he's glad about it, but sometimes, like today, I think maybe he's jealous. Imagine that. A kid jealous of Nikki Roth. The new kid. The Narfinator. The one who knows every Twilight Zone episode by heart. Thanks, Dad. And every element on the periodic table. Thanks, Mom. The one who likes sushi better than cheeseburgers and likes girls who are taller than him and thinks Talking Heads is still the best band there ever was. I don't care what anyone says. You planning to bust that lock this century? Or should I don't remember his voice. You planning to bust that lock this century? Or should I start rationing food? Aaron says behind me. Yeah, he's jealous. I told you to eat your breakfast, I say in my best mom voice. Eat this, he says, leaning in to punch me in his shoulder. But I spring the lock just in time to swing open the door. And he stumbles through he stumbles. Starting off at a great start, aren't we? And he stumbles through and lands squarely in a pile of bubble wrap packing. It seems we found the shipping department. I laugh so hard I think I'm going to rupture something, and eventually Aaron laughs too. Well, nothing to say here. Oh, wait, fuck. No, I can't say bad words because it took me an hour and a half to go, well, actually, an hour and 57 minutes. Actually, 2 hours to go through and mute all my bad words. Great. Well, nothing to see here, I say, shoving a box of packing peanuts aside. Not so fast, Aaron says, mesmerized as every human on Earth is by the simple act of popping a sheet of plastic bubbles. Once we exhaust an entire roll of bubble wrap, we both are really hungry, and we make our way back to the room that used to be the elephant's graveyard of electronics before he picked it clean. Now we refer to it as the office. We left an operating TV and VCR in there after we discovered that the generator that powers the conveyor belt powers electricity for some of the second floor offices as well. Aaron's amassed a sizable library of movies thanks to an obsession he has about recording them when they air. His timing for catching the best movies is freakishly good. Throw in a couple of cushy executive chairs pilfered from the nicest offices, and we have our very own media room. Aaron rummages around in a filing cabinet and pulls out a bag of cheese crackers and a couple of sodas. You seriously have rations? I say, tearing into the crackers. I pause for a second when I hear skittering behind the wall behind me. Great. Now the rats know we have crackers. I like to be prepared, Aaron says. The end is nigh. He laughs a ghoulish laugh and I roll my eyes, and things feel normal again. As normal as they can around Aaron. Shut up! That's why it feels like the right time to ask him about how everyone acted when we walked into the Gamers Grotto at the square. It's been a few weeks, but I haven't been able to shake the memory. I went clothes shopping with my dad, I offer. Sounds riveting, he says. It was alright. A kid named Enzo hooked me up with some pretty cool stuff, I say, easing into what I really wanted to ask him. Aaron doesn't say anything, though. He just fiddles with the metal tab on his soda can. And look at that long-ass bubble wrap. Look at that. Amazing. No! Dude, I get like 1,000 notifications, but it's way worse on my computer. I always have to have my computer on Do Not Disturb. Open! I think he said he knows you, I say, trying again. This time Aaron looks up. He doesn't know anything. Just like that, I've hit a nerve. Instead of backing off, I decide to press on it. Yeah, so what's up with the way everyone seems... I don't know. He eyes me carefully. Weird around you, I say, but that's not really what I want to say. I want to say scared around you. I want to ask him why I'm not afraid of him. I want to ask him if that makes me a chump, the would-be victim of a C-list horror movie. You didn't, like, kill a cat or something, did you? I ask. And I don't know how to follow that up, so I say, because I like cats. Aaron looks at me like the aliens have already arrived, like I'm their alien spawn, like I have tubes for ears and antennae for eyes and a long forked tongue that I use for catching and eating the human race I used to be a part of. Why would I kill a cat? He asks, and his question lays bare how stupid my question sounds. I don't know, I say lamely. Enzo stopped hanging out with me because he'd rather play video games, Aaron says quietly, wiggling the tab of his soda can until it comes off. He flicks it across the room into an old wastebasket. He doesn't have to say any more. I can hear every single word he's left out. Enzo would rather play his expensive video games that his successful dad can buy him because his dad has a job, and that job isn't going away. It's yet one more thing I can't figure out how to bring up with Aaron, that his dad is always around, even during the day, like how my dad is around all day when he's between jobs. There are reasons why the Enzos of the world don't hang out with the Aarons and the Nickys of the world. They don't have to be good reasons or fair reasons, but there are always reasons. Too bad, I think. Enzo seemed okay. I let out a massive belch that echoes across the empty factory floor. I don't even like video games that much, I say. It's a humongous lie, and Aaron knows it, but for the first time all day, he looks relaxed. Like a tiny bit of the 12-year-old he is has started to seep back in. Later, at Aaron's house, though, the lightness that seemed to free Aaron of some massive burden that afternoon disappears once again under the weight of his family. Everyone at the Peterson house is in a bad mood. I thought it was just his mom who met us at the door, then floated away without saying a word. Then, after taking too much time removing my rat poop shoes and placing them outside the door, I lost track of Aaron and practically ran straight into Maya in the hallway. She was looking over her shoulder, and when she turned and saw me, she jumped back about a foot. Jeez, Nikki, don't be such a creeper. I have to go, she said, hurrying out the door with one more furtive glance over her shoulder. Not at me, but behind me. I turned to see what she was looking for, but all I saw were the shadows that lined the twists and turns of the Peterson house. What the hell was that? No. My remote for my light. Healthy? No, that didn't do nothing. Okay. Now, as we sit in Aaron's room, tinkering with the lock on an old chain. No, I lost my spot. On an old chain we scrounged from a construction site. I wait for Aaron to say something. Anything. Because we've been sitting here in dead silence for over an hour. My parents got a letter from the school. I have my class schedule, but I don't know who any of the teachers are, so it's pretty much meaningless. Aaron grunts. I had a life sciences teacher at my last school, I say. She had this thing about rabbits. Like, she had about a dozen at home. She was constantly worrying about them. Sometimes she even brought them to class because she was afraid they'd be lonely. But always kind of thought it was more so she wouldn't be lonely. So, yeah, I thought that was weird. I clear my throat. Aaron stares out the window. Okay, you know what? I'm going to leave the water bottle cap open so I can just grab it when I want to. The alien overlords came to see me last night. They brought me aboard their vessel and threatened to melt my brain into soup unless I promised to become a secret alien agent and share top secret human intelligence with them. Yup, Aaron mutters, still staring out the window. So then you'll help me? Huh? Become an alien human double agent. Man, what are you talking about? What's up with you? You've been out of it ever since we left the factory, I say. Aaron looks back out the window. I'm about to give up and go home when he says, have you ever thought that maybe you were... What? Nothing, never mind, Aaron says, looking down. What, like a merman? No, I've never thought that. I've never thought that maybe I was a merman. I mean, I like to swim and all. I'm not half bad at it either. There's this lake near... Aaron chuckles despite himself. Weirdo. Now that, yeah, I've thought I was a weirdo before. Often, actually. Aaron looks at me. Have you ever thought you were... bad? It sounds like such a simple question. I knew it should have a simple answer. Ow. Simple answer. But Aaron and I both know it's not that simple. I mean, we play pranks on people. I think that's probably not upstanding citizen good, I say. Mom's refrain of using my powers for good once again pushing its way into my mind. No, but I mean really bad, Aaron says, looking back down at the floor. My dream washes over me, the one I have practically every night, but try not to let myself remember during the daytime. The one in the store, surrounded by food lined up on the shelves. The room is dark. I'm alone. And even though I have no idea why, I know beyond a doubt that it's my fault I'm there. I think I did something bad once. I say it before I know I'm saying it. It's like I'm hearing myself talk from across the room. You don't know? Aaron asks, looking hard at me now. Searching me for a lie. I don't remember, I say, a truth I've never admitted to anyone before. It's just this dream I have. It changes sometimes, but I always wind up in the same place, like it was put there or something. So, how do you know you did something wrong? Aaron asks. I think about it for a minute, and when my brain quiets to a whisper, all I hear is my grandmother's voice. You'll stop that wandering, or one day you won't make it home. Because sometimes I go where I'm not supposed to, I say. Sometimes I go too far. Now, we're both looking out the window, and I wonder what Aaron's bad dreams look like. If he feels as alone in him as I do in mine. I don't think just because you do bad things, it makes you a bad person, Aaron says after a long stretch of silence. All of a sudden, it occurs to me that I still haven't found out why Aaron was so weird about the Golden Apple amusement park last month. My mind is racing with thoughts of a prank gone awry. Could Aaron have done something to the roller coaster that made it crash? But I stop myself before I get too far. Pulling a prank is one thing, but bringing down a roller coaster at 9 years old, it's not possible. But if he's not talking about that, then what is he talking about? What does make a person bad then, I ask. Aaron shoves his hand in his pockets like he's embarrassed. Then, So quietly I can barely hear him, he says, being happy when bad things happen. I watch Aaron's face for any clues into what he could mean, but his expression is as flat as his tone. Then he looks at me and smiles, and it's the old Aaron again, the one who planned a mission just for me to get a sign with my name on it, who carved a safe path through the town of Ravenbrooks just so I could get home safely with the 2x2 foot tin treasure. He's my friend, an actual friend. Whatever he did, or thinks he did, I've got his back. I'm hungry, I say. Let's go get some tacos. Chapter 9. That night, I lie in bed waiting for sleep to come, but my stomach is churning. I don't know if it's the tacos or the fact that my conversation with Aaron brought my brain back to the Golden Apple amusement park. I just can't seem to stop imagining what it was like when that roller coaster car went rocketing off the tracks into a tree. I must be the only 12-year-old in the world who keeps a newspaper clipping of a tragic accident by his bed. It's become a habit to reread the same half article at night, skimming it for clues I may have missed before. I haven't had a good excuse to get back to the library at the university since I hitched a ride with Mom last time, so the second half of this story is still a mystery. Maybe I'm waiting for it all to make sense. Maybe I don't actually want to know how the story ends. I think about how scared that little girl must have felt when the other people on the roller coaster thought when it detached, if they even knew or just kept rolling along wondering what everyone was screaming about. I think about what my parents would have done if it was me. The only time I've ever seen my mom cry was when Grandma died. I wonder if she'd cry then hard. I wonder if she'd cry that hard if I died like Lucy E. I just accepted the reality that I'm probably going to throw up when a scream cracks the night and launches me from my bed. I rush to the window and press my forehead against the glass, looking for what could have made such an anguished sound. It came from across the street. I'm positive of that. And though it sounds totally nuts, I'd swear it sounded like Aaron's voice. I've never heard him scream. And anyway, what would make him do that at 2 a.m? But there was something in the tail end of that wail that sounded so familiar. I stare out the window for so long that my breath starts to fog the glass. Nothing follows that one unearthly sound, but a swath of silence not even pierced by a yowling cat or skittering leaf. Maybe I did fall asleep, I tell myself. I've been so wrapped up in thoughts of morbid accidents and crying moms that I dreamt the scream. I'm not satisfied with that answer, but my stomach is starting to churn again, and I'm getting sweaty with my breath bouncing off the window into my face. I open the window to get a little fresh air, and the silence of the night is once again interrupted, this time by the faint but undeniable sound of music. Ice cream truck music. Across the street, light glows from the crack under the Petersons' boarded-up basement door. Whoa. I start to have flashbacks of that night I eavesdropped on the side of Aaron's house. The night Mr. Peterson lurked outside my window in wordless warning. But a memory more powerful than that is driving me now. The memory of that scream that woke me up, but somehow didn't stir the rest of the neighborhood, just like the music doesn't. I fight back in the voice of logic, begging me to stay in my room and not pop the screen from the window frame. The trellis is beginning to get rickety from all this climbing, but I don't care about that now. All I care about is getting close to the Petersons' house. Maybe I can just get a sign from Aaron that everything is okay, that whatever is going on in his basement is totally innocent. The drilling, the music, the screams, they're all just what? A play rehearsal? A murder mystery party? Or just some comical misunderstanding invented by the short kid across the street with the grubby shoes? The dew from Aaron's lawn soaks my feet, and I stand underneath his window, the crooked oak tree releasing tiny droplets onto my head. I scour the yard for a small pebble to chuck at Aaron's window, and after a few failed attempts, I land one right on the glass. I flinch at the sound, then wait for him to wake up and tell me to leave him alone. Nothing would be more comforting right now. Instead, Aaron's room remains dark, and the music from the basement cuts in and out like skips on a record player, setting my nerves further on edge. Come on, I plead with Aaron under my breath, giving his window one more try. But this time, I throw the pebble a little too hard, and instead of a pinging sound, I hear a pop, then a crack, and I realize with horror that I've splintered Aaron's window. The music in the music take 3. The music The music in the basement cuts off, and the footsteps don't just fall evenly on the stairs like they did last time. Now they pound up the steps, thundering the shortest warning before the jingling of keys signals the furious unlocking of the deadbolts securing the door. Frantic, I realize that this time I won't have a chance to get across the street undetected. The house offers no place to hide, no bush for cover or garage for shelter. The only place to go is the backyard. I regain movement and bolt for the backyard with the kind of adrenaline you hear about in moments of crisis. Evidently, I have more power in my skinny legs than I realized. I lunge for the only cover I can see, a pair of oak trees directly behind the house that make for the worst hiding place ever. But I don't have a choice because the keys are rattling faster now and the door is starting to move from its frame. Just as I pull myself behind the trunk, a loud bang on the basement door makes my heart catch in my throat. I peer through the leaves and realize that one lock is still in place. And rather than patiently unlock it, whoever's behind the door has given up trying and is instead throwing himself against the wooden door. Flinching with each violent knock, I watch as the door bends behind the weight of the attack. The tiny crackling of splintering wood sending a chill through my paralyzed body. With one more vicious thrust, the last stubborn lock falls to the grass, and a hulking Mr. Peterson falls through the doorway, red-faced and sweating, with the foam of white spittle gathering in the corners of his mouth. I hang onto the trunk of the oak tree and plead silently with my heart to stop pounding for fear that the animal that has taken over Mr. Peterson will hear it with his supersonic hearing. I'm quaking so hard I can see the leaves above me trembling, and I pray not a single leaf drops. I watch in terror as Mr. Peterson skulks around the yard in search of the sound that interrupted his work. I can hear him panting from here, and I begin to think the craziest thoughts. How my last meal would have been tacos. How disappointed Mom will be in me for using my powers for eavesdropping. How I'll never have gotten to test out my audio manipulator. I don't know why my chair won't go back. How through this entire horrific episode, through the drilling and the window breaking and the door destroying, Aaron and his family have managed to stay quietly tucked into the beds, unaware that the boy across the street is about to be annihilated by their psycho dad. I watch as Mr. Peterson crouches to the grass and examines what I can only guess are the footprints I left in the dew. And that's when I notice that there's a grave. Well, I'm not sure it's really a grave because there isn't a dead body in it, but it definitely looks like a grave. Mr. Peterson stands slowly, tromping his way across the lawn, and now his demeanor has calmed a bit. as though the animal inside him has been suddenly tamed. He picks up the shovel and starts filling in the grave, even though I swear there's nothing in there. Just an empty, grave-shaped hole that I assume he buries trespassers like me in. 10 minutes pass, then 20, then 30 as my legs feel weaker and weaker. Suddenly, I come back to my senses as the shoveling stops, and Mr. Peterson steps to the sidewalk and then to the middle of the street, staring up at the window to my room, looking for signs of life there instead of behind him in his own tree. I swallow to wet my dry throat, but it's no use. I sweat every ounce of moisture from my body. I'd pee my pants if I wasn't already as dry as a desert. Then, just like last time, Mr. Peterson satisfies whatever compulsion he had in staring down my bedroom window, and once again, he cuts the path through his lawn, stomping one more time to stare at the dented grass by the side of his house. I'm positive he's about to see me. Even with the trunk providing cover, there's no doubt he'll spot my stupid teal shirt through the camouflage. I brace for my fate. The adrenaline no longer providing me strength. Now, all I can do is wait in paralyzed silence to be discovered. But Mr. Peterson doesn't look up. Instead, he walks calmly, almost serenely, through the basement doorway, closing the door with care and methodically locking the bolts that remain in place after the carnage. I wait until I'm sure it's not a trap. I wait for the music that doesn't start up again, for the sound of shoes that don't touch the basement steps, for the cracked window in Aaron's room to open. I wait for a single sign of life in the house that was moments ago alive with the fury of a single hulking monster. Then, I come out. I dread climbing the trellis and consider sleeping in my backyard just so I can hide. When I do make it to my room, I push my dresser in front of the window as a barricade. When I wake up the next morning, I feel braver somehow. Maybe it's the light of day creeping around the sides of my dresser, or the sereneness in my arms that reminds me I had enough wits about me to hide behind the tree. Whatever the reason, I lean against my dresser and return it to its place, staring at the house that had terrified me so badly under the cloak of midnight. Okay, I gotta go make my my special concoction for my throat because water is not doing it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. We're gonna put this. That's not a safe spot. Do I have anywhere that's not gonna like? Oh, that was close. Let's see here. We're gonna put this. I guess right here. Okay, 30 minutes. Okay. You're not so scary. You're not so scary, I tell the house and the man inside it, and I almost believe myself until I flinch a little too hard at the sound of scratching just below my window. There, tucked in the trellis, propped against the exterior under my bedroom window, is a folded piece of yellow notebook paper, its edges fluttering and scraping the siding in the morning breeze. Retreating back to my room, I rummage through my box of gadgets until I find what I'm looking for. A handy little tool I invented after realizing the tangle of vines on the trellis was where Aaron would be leaving me all my secret messages. I finally find it, the grabber I customized using the extender from a pool broom and the lever from a pooper scooper. Then I return to the window, carefully lowering the grabber and retrieving the paper from the vines. But when I unfold the paper to read its message, I feel even worse than I did when I woke up on the floor. He's getting worse. I look out the window across the street and wait for the messenger to make themselves known. But I know it's no use. It appears they left behind more than a note, though. From the ground, a glinting catches my eye. I squint to see what it is, but the sun reflects off its surface, and I can't make it out. Guess I'm climbing you again after all, I say to the trellis, which groans under my weight. At the bottom of the trellis, tangled in a thick knot of vines, is a delicate gold chain, a tiny apple charm dangling from its links. A bracelet I've never seen before. Something in my stomach hardens as I flash back to another apple, this one made of bronze, dancing in a fountain in the middle of the square, dancing around the picture of a smiling Lucy Yi, her wrist decorated with an identical golden apple charm bracelet. I turn the bracelet over my hand and realize there's an inscription on the back. Golden Apple Young Inventors Club. I look up and down the street, but it's no use. Whoever left me the bracelet and the note is long gone. You're not far, though, are you? I say under my breath. I look directly across the street at the Peterson house. Something tells me you're watching me right now. Chapter 10. I own one suit, which is one more than any person should own. The shirt is stiff, the collar itches my neck, the pants feel grandpa high up to my chin, and the shoes are so slippery that I could slide off into the next zip code if I'm not careful. Plus, the suit doesn't even fit. I've grown 2 inches since the last time my parents had it altered, and no matter what I wear it for, I'll only ever remember it as the funeral suit because it's what I wore after my grandma died. 5 minutes, Narf. 5 minutes, Narf, Dad says from the other side of the bedroom door, and I can hear his shoes tapping down the hall and back toward my fussing mom. Here, let me get that for you, my mom says. It's fine, Lou. You missed 3 belt loops, she says. I'm trying to expedite my escape from this contraption later on, he says. Hun, would you please try to act like a normal human for 3 hours? These are my colleagues, Mom pleads. Without even seeing him, I know Dad is looking at the ground and nodding. There's enough guilt to waft in my direction, and I look down too, even though they can't see me. It's for Mom. That's all we need to know about tonight. It's obvious that Ravenbrooks is proud of their university. The main brick buildings are old, but the trims are freshly painted, their landscaping tightly manicured and closely clipped. Tonight's fundraiser for our new sciences wing. Shouldn't it be just science wing? It says tonight's fundraiser for a new sciences wing. It might be a typo, or I might just be dumb, and that's actually a word. That's actually how you call it. I don't know. Whatever. Tonight's fundraiser for a new sciences wing isn't taking place anywhere near the current sciences wing. I guess the organizers figured jars of pickled animal hearts and emergency eye wash stations didn't create the right atmosphere for a gala. I'm disappointed, though. I'd been hoping to sneak to the library to read the rest of the article I pocketed. Instead, the fundraiser takes place in the main library, the centerpiece of the university for good reason. Its ornate carvings and meticulously lined shelves are anything but small town. The crystal stemware and white cloth napkins only add to the formality, leaving little doubt about why I'm not wearing a suit, even if it is a size too small. Why did it say not? Why I'm wearing a suit, even if it's size too small. Mom is across the room wearing the purple dress that Dad likes because Mom feels good in it. She says it hides her lumpy parts, and Dad says he likes her lumpy parts, and that's when I leave the room for fear of throwing up. But tonight, Mom doesn't look like she's worried about her lumpy parts, or worried about anything, really. She looks like she owns the room. Dad is in a corner chasing a goat cheese ball around his plate with a fork and laughing with some donor Mom pointed out to him. I'm stuffed on goat cheese balls and sparkling grape juice, and I've scoured the shelves unsuccessfully for a single book that doesn't look like it would put me in a coma. I'm on my way back from the bathroom when I see the sign with an arrow pointing downstairs to the archives. Archive, references, periodicals, microfiche. I peek around the corner to make sure my parents are still busy talking to the donors before slipping downstairs. Oh, made it to page 100. The science library didn't have much in the way of city records, but I'm hoping the main library will offer more. With my parents distracted, maybe I'll actually have a chance to read a full article this time. The stacks are piled with newspapers dating back 20 years, when the Ravenbrooks Banner was simply the Bulletin. I learned that Miss Bevel, who owns the creepy doll shop, actually has a degree in doll making. I also learned that doll making is a college degree. I discovered that my street was one of the first streets developed in Ravenbrooks, and that our very own, not our own turquoise house was previously home to a Hollywood stunt woman. Miss Tillman once had to recall a batch of the Cerviva cocoa bars that give Aaron and me the farts because the manufacturer found a dead gopher in the chocolate vat. The former mayor of Ravenbrooks was impeached for lying about his legislative experience. The llama farm indeed used to have goats. Overall, I learned that Ravenbrooks has always been as boringly strange as it is today. By the time the Bulletin had become the Ravenbrooks Banner, the news seemed to have slowed. Store openings and closings and local weather mainly dominated the headlines. That is, until the Golden Apple Factory arrived. Suddenly, Ravenbrooks was booming with activity, and the outskirts of town transformed from farmland to houses to serve the needs of the factory workers and their families. And the town grew even more with the explosion in popularity of the Golden Apples, which at first was only a local candy. Have you seen Chucky? He looks hilarious. Look at him. Who would have guessed a local favorite would become a national obsession? Raved one executive of the Golden Apple Corporation in a story dated 5 years ago.
I like the chocolate ones best,
declared a kid from the same article, pictured with his mouth ringed in said chocolate. Pretty soon, the factory grew to a storefront, and they began giving tours. Interactive exhibits became lures for out-of-towners, and a new hotel sprung up on Market Street. Then the announcement came. The Golden Apple Corporation would be building a multi-million-dollar theme park right here in Ravenbrooks, where it all begun. Every week, at least one story above the fold boasted the progress of the park's construction. I keep reading in morbid fascination. I can't help myself. It's like when magazines publish pictures of Pompeii, with their homes and markets frozen in time, unaware that life would come to a sudden stop. I thumbed through pages after pages of pictures featuring different parts of the park. It's like there was no other news in town for 2 years. I flipped the page of one newspaper dated September 14th, 1991, which features a crew unwrapping a shiny new carousel. Its glitter and bright blues and reds stark against the dirt ground and surrounding trees that they hadn't yet cleared. I set the paper aside and pick up another from the following week. Predictably, there's another Golden Apple amusement park story. This one featuring the half-constructed front entrance. There are at least a dozen workers in their safety vests hauling a sign into place. The next week's paper captures a cement mixer pouring concrete, and this time, several small kids gather around the scene, oversized hard hats obscuring all their faces. The next week's article pictures the unraveling of a tarp decorated with shiny gold apples and men and women in suits smiling down at the design. Finally, I come to the week of August 7th, 1992. The headline reading in all capital letters, "Golden Apple Amusement Park set to open." A massive crowd of business people in suits and construction workers in coveralls and photographers in vests and local profiteers in red and gold polo shirts lines the entrance of the park 4 rows deep. Each one holds in their extended hand a palm-sized golden apple. Each one smiles brightly, the possibility of the park's success alive in their imaginations. Only one person doesn't hold an apple. Instead, he holds an almost comically large pair of golden scissors over a red ribbon. He wears a black suit with a red and gold tie, but I recognize him even out of his argyle sweater. Mr. Peterson. It's the caption of the picture. It's the caption of the picture, though, that forms a hard pit in my stomach. Park designed by local engineer Theodore Masters Peterson. I read it 5 more times to be sure, but even with the caption, there's no mistaking the mustache face of Aaron's dad. The following week's paper is almost entirely dedicated to the glory of Golden Apple Amusement Park. The front page lead story tells of opening day successes, punctuated by a college of smiling. Damn it! Punctuated by a collage of smiling parents and ecstatic kids, balloons in hand and cotton candy webbed between their fingers. Raven Brooks Banner. Local engineer brings world-renowned talent home. Peterson has designed parks on 6 continents. Read on for a sneak peek of his latest undertaking. There he is. Okay. Almost the fold is a... oh my god, I can't read! Above the fold is a dapper-looking headshot of Mr. Peterson. His carnival mustache twirled at the ends in perfect theme park designer character. Mr. Peterson? Mr. Peterson is a sort of genius. A physics whiz. A physics whiz. He engineered some of the world's most innovative attractions, bringing new technology and gimmicks to nearly every new park he's designed. There's a vacuum-powered food delivery system at the Alberta Avalanche Park. It flies through a tube just like the tellers use at a bank, one patron marveled. There was the robotic vendors at Tokyo's Cherry Blossom Grove. I should have just been doing this voice. I didn't have to wait in line for hours just to buy... oh, no. Okay, I didn't have to wait in line for hours just to buy a keychain, said another parkour. And as his reputation as an engineer grew, so did his ambitions for his parks. Only instead of looking for business innovations, it seemed like Mr. Peterson became more interested in the rides themselves. I don't know if I should be reading this in Nikki's voice, regular voice, or narrator. At Berlin's Spanned Park, he was the first engineer to create a perpetual motion boomerang ride. Ride operators admitted it could only be stopped by a kill switch on a hidden console. Well, I thought I was gonna barf, remarked one rider, whose laughing face betrayed a hint of panic in his picture. And then there was the Golden Apple Amusement Park, his crowning achievement as an engineer of the world's most exciting attractions. One can only imagine it had to be spectacular. The profile reads, "With the park's unpredicted opening day crowds were with the park's unprecedented opening day crowds, we're left wondering what Mr. Peterson has up his sleeve for the big surprise we've come to expect from his parks." You'll have to. Where was I? "You'll just have to wait and see next week," Mr. Peterson is quoting as saying. "I'll give you a hint, though. Have you noticed there's no roller coaster in this park?" The article ends with a reference to the off-limits end of the park, a tarp several stories high, and a show-stopping ride that was sure to put Ravenbrooks on the map. I'm not sure if I set the article down so much as push it away under the shelf, appalled at its ignorance of what's to come. I want to scream at the reporter, the smiling patrons in the crowd, the gleeful, reckless Mr. Peterson, who's set such an unimaginable tragedy in motion. "There you are, Jay, I found him!" Mom thunders down the stairs, looking mostly mad but a little relieved. I act without thinking, ripping the first few articles from each of the following week's newspapers and shoving them into my pocket before tossing the papers to the side.
You made me sweat all over my favorite dress,
she says as she sits down next to the pile of papers I've amassed. "I got bored," I say as an apology, and the cool thing about Mom is that's all she needs.
What's all this?
She says, sliding the papers around a little. "I don't know," I say, which is maybe the most honest thing I've never said to my mom in weeks. I've said, why did I say never? I say, which is maybe the most honest thing I've said to Mom in weeks. She lifts a few of the pictures to the light, and her mouth becomes a thin line. Then, without saying all the obvious stuff about how sad it is to see what everyone thought the park was going to be, she looked at me and says,
"I think this move has been the hardest one yet."
There, in the dim light of the library basement in her purple dress, with its little dark rings forming in the armpits, Mom becomes my new favorite person. It's the first time she's ever said what I've never figured out how to say, that after a while, calling so many places home just dilutes the word, and she doesn't like it either. Dad descends the stairs just as Mom and I are coming back up. "Hey, Narf," he says, an apology on his face even though he wasn't there for what Mom said. Sometimes, Dad just knows. "I smuggled out some cheesecake for you." I eat dessert in the car while Mom and Dad rehash the night and laugh about the boring people. I stare out the window at the weird little town of Ravenbrooks and realize that its definition of home probably changed that awful day at the park a week after it opened. I wonder how many people still feel like they did 20 years ago, or 30, or 50, before the day Lucy Yee died. I wonder how much Aaron thinks his dad is to blame for that. When I get home, I practically tear off my suit and get into my pajamas, but sleep won't come easily. I have more reading to do. I pull the crumpled articles from my suit pocket and smooth them across the floorboards of my bedroom. Ravenbrooks banner! GAA Park burns as Golden Apple Amusement Park burns as investigation continues. Peterson's past failures resurface. Yee family demands answers. Shows a picture of Mr. Peterson. The first article appears in an issue published a week after the tragedy. It's Mr. Peterson, but his perfectly waxed mustache is less spiritly, more pointy. And the picture isn't the only thing unflattering about the new profile Ravenbrook's banner. What began as a prayer vigil for young Lucy Yee, the 7-year-old victim of Golden Apple Amusement Park's daredevil roller coaster Rotten Core, ended in a fire that devastated the already infamous attraction. Now investigators are demanding to know why the dangerous roller coaster was allowed to operate before passing certain critical inspections, and angry investigators have uncovered troubling details about the man responsible for the park's design. A knock at the door startles me from the story, and I slide the paper under my bed just in time for Dad to pop his head in to say goodnight. How about that cheesecake? How about that cheesecake, huh? He says, wiggling his eyebrows. It was pretty epic, I say, trying to recall even tasting it. Find anything interesting in the library? Yes. No, I say, shrugging. Want me to leave you alone? He says, a hint of a smile creeping through. Kinda. Wish I'd just go to bed, he says, determined to make me crack. Well, trying to figure out how to tell me nicely to buzz off? Dad! He won. He broke me. He laughs. Good night, Narf. I wait until I hear my parents' bedroom door close before retrieving the article from under my bed. A resurfaced investigation has raised concerns over the reputation of the world-renowned engineer after reporters unearthed the details of a 1987 accident in one of the designer's parks in Melbourne, Australia. What was first thought to be an electrical fire due to faulty wiring in Wallaby Wonderland's Tasmanian tunnels was later determined to be an accident caused by a critical flaw in the attraction's braking failsafe. The accident occurred when an empty car jumped the track, sparking a fire that ignited an exposed patch of insulation, killing 4 teens, ages 13 to 17. While investigators were found legally responsible, that finding remains disputed as several questions remain about the safety inspections the park failed to undergo prior to its opening. Said one inspector, As far as I can tell, no one from my team... Oh, wait. Fuck. Who's this? As far as I can tell, no one from my team checked that ride. Not a chance anyone would have given it passing marks without an emergency brake. The inspector joins a small course of objectors. Inspector, objector. Some of them investigate. Some... I can't see the fucking book! 58. 55. The inspector joins a small chorus of objectors, some of them investigators accused of trying to deflect blame. But one investigator lodged an especially disturbing claim against T.M. Peterson, Theodore Master Peterson, the park's engineered mastermind. He told me about the mechanics once, about his frustration with its limitation. He said safety features tamped the excitement down. He said emergency brakes put a drag on the speed. The man specifically mentioned emergency brakes. But with little evidence in a tragedy half a world away, the Ravenbrook's engineer continued his work, bringing what many believe are increasingly unsafe and possibly illegal practices to his park designs. Designs that may just be to blame for Lucy Yee's death. The other front page I borrowed from the library's archives. The issue from 2 weeks after the accident avoids the name Theodore Master Peterson's altogether. Instead, it features a window into the life of Lucy Yee, about how she loved her hamster Gerald and played the violin and wanted to be an inventor like Leonardo da Vinci when she grew up. The picture at the bottom of the article shows Lucy, her fringe of bangs doing little to hide exuberance in her smile. She's cheek to cheek with 2 other smiling girls, their arms interlocked like sisters, and with a start, I realized that I recognized the face mashed against Lucy's on one side. It's Maya Peterson. And like sisters, All three girls in the picture have matching bracelets with little gold charms in the shape of an apple. The picture is captioned, Maya, Lucy, and Maritza? I don't know the name. Alexa, turn it up to 7. Alexa, how do you pronounce Maritza?
Maritza is pronounced Maritza, with the stress on the second syllable and a Spanish accent.
Maritza!
It's
Okay.
important to
Alexa,
note
shut
that
up! Maya, Lucy, and Maritza, members of the Golden Apple Young Inventors Club. I pull the bracelet that I found beneath the trellis from my desk drawer and hold it up to one of the bracelets pictured on the girl's wrists. It's a perfect match. Here's the picture. So Maritza, Lucy in the middle, and then Maya on the orange hair. Well, we're on chapter 11. Chapter 11. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not chapter. Okay, hold on. 13. Not about that much left. That's fine. That's fine. That's very fine. Chapter 11. I throw a pair of pajamas into my backpack and forego my toothbrush to make space for the audio manipulator. It's built, and all we need now is to add the pre-recorded audio. I survey my bag's contents and decide that pretty much covers all I need. Downstairs, I slip on my shoes. Dad and Mom watch me a little too closely. Excited for your big sleepover? Dad asks. Dad, I say, wincing. Sorry, you're super grown up. Totally not a big deal hangout where you might wear pajamas and might not sleep. That's not better, I say.
Just remember to brush your teeth.
Mom says, and I swear to the alien she can see straight through my backpack to my missing toothbrush. Uh-huh.
And say thank you,
she says. She's still irked that the Petersons haven't bothered to come by, but to her, please and thank you are holy words. I will, I say. And solve the mysteries of the universe, Dad says, and Mom gives him a look. What? What?
Are you implying that manners and hygiene are impossible requests of our son?
Lou, he's 12. He's barely human at this age. I decide to end things before they get ugly. I'll say thank you, I tell my mom, and she smiles like she's won. And I'll ponder the meanings of life, I tell Dad, and he gives me a dorky thumbs up. As I cross the street, I do ponder, but not about life's meaning. I wonder how in the world I'm going to ask Aaron about everything I read in the old newspapers about Golden Apple Amusement Park, about his dad and Maya. Because there's not even a sliver of a chance that I'll be able to stop myself from asking. Mrs. Peterson glides into the room like she's on wheels. I don't even hear her until she's right behind me, a pile of sheets stacked on top of a pillow, cradled in her arms. I don't mean to jump, it's just that she surprised me.
Wow, I know I forgot to put on lipstick today, but exactly how frightened do I look? How frightening do I look?
No, you don't at all. I mean,
Nikki, I'm kidding, honey. I have a light step. Mom's a teacher, but she danced ballet when she was in college, Maya says as she plunks down on Aaron's bottom bunk. She even danced at one of Dad's park openings.
No one invited you, Paria, Aaron says, nudging Maya off his bed. Thank you, Miss Peterson, I say, taking the linens from her. She says, her eyes glazed over like she's distracted.
Oh, you can call me Diane, honey.
she says, focusing on me long enough to lightly tousle my hair. I said stop calling me that. Fuck. 1 hour, 2 minutes. I said stop calling me that, Maya says, shoving Aaron's leg when he pokes her with his nose. Ow, your toenails are like knives. My pariah eats farts and papaya, Aaron sings, still poking her. Mom! Miss Peterson, Diane, spreads the seats across the bottom bunk of Aaron's bed. Stop calling your sister a pariah, she says, clearly lost in more pleasant thoughts. She's humming quietly to herself, somehow blocking out the escalated brawl between Aaron and his sister. So, if you eat farts, does that mean you burp fart too? Is that why you always smell so bad? Maya flushes pink and glances at me. I do not smell bad, Mom! But Diane is already on her way out the door. She's moving slowly, though, almost like she's forgotten where the door is. All at once, Aaron and Maya stop arguing, and a sudden silence blankets the room. In that quiet, I can hear the faint song Miss Peterson has been humming to herself. Only now, she's practically whispering it, like she's afraid to scare away the memory attached to the tune. Okay, fun fact. I might put the video up. Fun fact. The song she's humming in one of the games where she's there is the Mario theme song. So obviously you can't say that for copyright, but in the second game, Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, she's humming the Mario theme song. Put up the clip now. Okay. Maya follows her, still glowing crimson, but she lands a final solid punch on Aaron's bicep on her way out. I watch her leave. Ever since I saw the photo of her, Lucy, and that other girl wearing the golden apple bracelet in the newspaper article, I've been trying to understand what it would mean that the bracelet would find its way into my front yard. I still don't know, but I have a feeling Maya does, which means I'll probably never figure it out. Maya's even less of a shiver than Aaron, if that's possible. Oh! As soon as Maya reaches the stairs at the end of the hall, Aaron closes the bedroom door and waves me to his desk. He pulls the drawer open, and rather than taking anything out of it, he reaches his hand all the way inside until he's shoulder deep and still reaching. I look at his desk, and it doesn't take me long to determine that what I'm seeing is impossible. Flush against the wall, his desk can stick out more than 1.5 feet. What the? Aaron smiles as he struggles to grip whatever hides in his magical desk. Then he gives up and pulls the whole drawer out, exposing its missing back. We duck down, our heads together, and I understand. There's a hole in his wall. The drawer has a false back. You really are a criminal mastermind, I say, and Aaron chuckles. Then he hauls out his treasure. It's a box full of junk of the very best kind. There's dismantled monitors and remote control cars, parts of an old toaster, some speaker wire, clamps and locks, keys to nowhere, a discarded keyboard, a phone without its faceplate, and at least 3 broken calculators. It's a Gadget Head's bounty. Holy aliens, Aaron, I say, and he smiles in a way that I haven't seen. I think this is what pride looks like on Aaron. From one weirdo to another, I know how elusive pride can be. It's all the stuff I collected from the factory before you moved here. I wanted to make something out of it, except I don't know how. He looks at me. Think you can use any of the parts for your audio synthesizer? The synthesizer! I can't believe I almost forgot. Reaching for my bag, I pull out the finished product, and as quickly as Aaron faces... I pull out the finished product, and as quickly as Aaron's face lights up, it dims again, and I realize that maybe he wanted to help me finish it. It's not ready yet, I hurry to explain, and some of the light returns to Aaron's face. No? I shake my head slowly and explain. We still needed the recording. He smiles so wide, I think his face might split apart. Fort synthesizer. Power source. Recording. Green light means active. Avian interface. There it is. An hour later, stuffed on Cerviva, bars, and bloated to the point of bursting, Aaron and I are a mess. I'm laughing so hard I can barely hold the microphone to the audio source. Every time Aaron lets one rip, we fall apart, rolling across his floor like beetles on our backs. It takes everything in me to gather myself, and I plaster on my most serious face, placing a hand on Aaron's shoulder. Fine, sir, I say. I dare say that was your best work yet. He matches my seriousness, but only for a second, and then we both break. Boys, Miss Peterson says, peeking in the doorway. Are you planning to come down for pizza at any point tonight? Or, sweet Mary, what does that smell? I laugh so hard my sides pinch. Aaron swiped the tears from his eyes. Sorry, Mom, he says. We're, performing an experiment, I say. Creating art, he says over me. Then we bust up all over again. Well, whatever you're doing, open a window, for Pete's sake, Miss Peterson says. That's toxic. Aaron's farts, this time, accidentally, and I have to bury my face in the bottom bunk to keep myself from laughing to death, or suffocating. Either one is equally plausible. Once we've calmed down enough to choose a series of Aaron's choicest farts for the synthesizer, we're suddenly at a loss for things to do. It's late, but neither of us is tired. And still, maybe out of habit or boredom, we pull on pajamas and take to our bunks. Aaron on the top bunk, me staring at the slats from the bottom. It's not the right time, because no time is the right time. But somehow it seems more possible to talk to Aaron about his dad when I only have to stare at the mattress above me and not at his face. So, I gotta ask, I say, trying to sound casual. No, I don't believe in aliens, Aaron says. Wait, what? Sorry, man. I know it's your, I don't know, religion or something, or whatever, he says. It's not my religion. Then I catch myself, pushing my shock aside. Seriously, how can he not believe in aliens? The proof is overwhelming. I try again to bring up the most awkward conversation ever. So, what's up with your dad anyway? The silence that follows is painful. I only have myself to blame. It was perhaps history's worst, said you. What do you mean? Aaron asks, but he's quiet and his voice doesn't ask. What do you mean? What do you mean? As much as how much do you know? I mean, he's pretty intense, I say. This is excruciating. At this rate, it's going to take me a week to work up the courage to ask him what I really want to ask him. If Aaron knows his dad is suspected of purposely making rides unsafe, even thinking it sounds absurd. Still, I can't shake the feeling he wants me to ask him. Why else would he accidentally bring me by Golden Apple Amusement Park? I'll be right back. Come back. Okay, I don't want to use any more of my concoction because I only have a certain amount left. So, water it is. Okay, let's continue, shall we? Okay. Aaron shifts in his bunk overhead, and I hold as still as I can so I don't miss a word. Just ask me what you want to ask me, he says, and suddenly he does sound tired. He sounds like he hasn't slept in years. It's the old Aaron again, the one I encountered on our first few times hanging out. He's old beyond his years, burdened by something unseen. I've aged him. I weighed him down by bringing up the past, a past he has to know about. Of course he has to know about it. Why did you want... Why did you want me to know about the park? I ask. And he's quiet for so long, I think maybe he's decided to stop talking to me for the rest of the night. Then, after a long while, he says, he was a genius, you know, like a real Einstein-level genius. I don't say anything because I do know that, and I don't want to stop him talking now that he's finally started up again. I'm not happy, Lucy, Dad, he says, and this takes me off guard because of course he's not. Who would ever be happy about something like that? Then I remember something else he said to me in this very room. Something he said like a confession, even though I didn't know it at the time. What does make a person bad then? Being happy when bad things happen. But he stopped after that, Aaron said, and I understand now. The accident that killed Lucy also killed Mr. Peterson's career, a career that was becoming increasingly reckless with every new venture. Then Aaron really does stop talking. Before long, I hear the slow, even breath of his slumber above me. The weight on him has disappeared, at least for now. But it isn't actually gone. The weight has shifted to me, and I wonder how I'll even ever fall asleep like him. I lie awake for what feels like an eternity, staring at the slats above my bunk, thinking about how long Aaron's blamed himself for simply feeling relieved. Relief in the form of Lucy Ye's death. When I wake up, the only light in the room emanates from the recording light on the audio simulator. Aaron is still in the top bunk. His snoring is the only clear indication he's even alive. I try to remember the last time I slept that soundly. Except he's not exactly peaceful. He's twitching, hard, and if I listen closely enough between bouts of snoring, I can hear him begging to the things of his nightmares. No, and don't, and please. I lie there for a moment, trying to figure out what exactly it was that woke me up. I was dreaming again, but this dream didn't start in the cart, or in the grocery store at all. This one started in a tunnel. It closed in on me, edging closer and closer to my shoulders and the top of my head until I began to sink. I dropped to the bottom of something deep and dark, so dark I wasn't sure my eyes were even open. And while I don't remember much after that, I do remember the voice that hissed to me across that deep, dark expanse. I remember the chilling words it whispered to me. Find me. No, find me. And then I woke up. But it wasn't the voice from my dream that woke me. It was a sound. But like the voice from my dream, the sound that woke me is long gone, and in its place is thirst. Between the Serviva bars and the pizza we did eventually sneak downstairs to eat, my mouth is a desert. And as I stare at the bunk above me where Aaron twitches away, I know there's no way I'm going back to sleep until I can get something to drink. Snatching a flashlight from the pile of orphaned electronics on Aaron's floor, I creep down the hall, taking care to avoid as many squeaky floorboards as I can, but Aaron's house is full of them. Maya's door is shut tight, but Mr. and Mrs. Peterson's door stands open a crack, and I can barely make out the rustle of sheets as I sneak by. Just find the kitchen, get a drink, and go back to bed, I tell myself. There's something weird about sneaking around your friend's house when everyone else is asleep. When you're awake, you're a guest, but when the rest of the house sleeps, it's hard not to feel like an intruder. The thought of Mr. Peterson mistaking me for a house invader is enough to propel me down the stairs, and even though I know I made it too much noise, at least I'm past the worst part now. That I'm downstairs. Except, I'm not past the worst part because suddenly I'm lost. I hold the flashlight up, disbelieving that I could actually have lost my way from the stairs to the kitchen. But I really have. The doorway to the kitchen should be right in front of me, shouldn't it? I walk forward, not believing what the flashlight is showing me. Yet there it is, a wall where there should be a kitchen. I look to my right, but the living room isn't there either. In fact, all that's in front of me is a long hallway. I stop cold, the contents of my anxious thoughts creeping into my waking life. I shake it off, though, and remind myself that I'm just tired and thirsty, and I haven't ever seen this house at night. It's kind of a maze even in the daytime, so I must have taken a wrong turn somewhere between the upstairs hallway and the stairs leading here. I keep walking still, hopeful that I'll find the kitchen just a little farther ahead. I don't, though. Instead, I find myself surrounded by closed doors, each boasting a slightly different doorknob and keyhole. What? I'm just about to turn around and retrace my steps back up the stairs when I hear a sound I'd hope to never hear again from this house. Ice cream truck music. The melody winds up, then down again, then goes silent and repeats the pattern. I step lightly across the floor of the hallway, pressing my ear against each door I pass. Yet none of them seems to hide the source of the sound. Then the music stops. I wait to see if it returns, but all that greets me are the creaks and groans of someone else's home. I've lived in enough houses that belong to other people to not be freaked out by those sounds. Still, there was something about that thud. I stop cold, straining. I wait to hear it again. I don't have to wait long. Thud. This time closer. This time with a dragging sound that follows. This time. Then another thud. There's no mistaking the sound now. It's footsteps. Footsteps that aren't moving quite right. I swallow, but I can't wet my dry throat. I want to turn around and go back up the stairs, but now I'm not entirely certain the sound was coming from up ahead. The hallway is playing tricks on my ears, and the thudding and dragging now sounds like maybe it's coming from behind me. A groggy Mr. Peterson creeping up behind what he thinks is an intruder. A sleepwalking Aaron following through the house. An actual intruder. None of the possibilities slow my thumping heart, and why didn't I just get some water from the bathroom upstairs? The thudding and dragging speed up, and all at once I understand why it's getting louder. It's moving toward me. I turn to open the door behind me, no longer trying to figure out where the sound is coming from. All I can think of is hiding until it passes. The doorknob won't budge. I try one farther down the hall, but it's locked too. The thudding is louder still, and I try another door. Mercifully, this one opens, and I fall through it, closing the door behind me a little too hard. I wince at the sound, then wait to see if the footsteps pass. Suddenly, I don't hear them anymore. I press my ears to the door, but it's as though there was never any noise in the first place. No music, no footsteps, no creaks or groans in the walls or pipes. My flashlight is trained to a single spot on the floor, and only now do I realize I'm standing on a well-worn area rug. The kind you'd find in the sitting room of some rich old lady's house. Like maybe it was nice a long time ago. But now it just looks like it's trying to hide something worse underneath. I swing my flashlight across the room and find it cluttered with so much furniture. I can hardly see the walls that frame the space. There are bureaus and bookshelves. What's that, bureaus? Alexa, how do you pronounce Bureaus?
I pronounce that bureaus, but I'm always working on how I say things and I might not have it right.
Okay, it's bureaus. I was correct. Bureaus and bookshelves, glass cases protecting plaques framed in wood, and statuettes carved from crystal. I move closer and see Mr. Peterson's name etched in every single one, each praising him for a different accomplishment. One of the glass cases abuts a massive wooden desk that takes up a fourth of the room, and so much paperwork clutters the desk. Even the imposing piece of furniture looks like it might buckle under the weight. I train the light on the papers, spread haphazardly across the surface, trying to make sense of a room that at one time must have served as an office to Mr. Peterson. There are large curled blueprints paperweighted at their corners, with measurements and precise notations penciled beside each line and curve. Some of the names I recognize from old newspaper articles: the Bell Tower, the Deadweight, the Dragon's Lair. The most dangerous thrill rides from Mr. Peterson's parks across the world. There are some I don't recognize. The Inverted Cyclone, the Whip, whose curves and lines cover the entire spread of the space of the blueprint. There's one blueprint that isn't done, that doesn't even have a name, but it spirals to the edges of the paper at angles that seem to defy gravity. A smattering of red X's X's mark areas on the design like some kind of treasure map. Only instead of signaling treasure, the X's have words beside them like Access 1, Egress 2, and Hatch 3. My mind is trying to keep up, but disorientation and fear have given way to exhaustion. And I'm... One moment, please. I can't drink water with the ring, this ring on. I don't know why. My mind is trying to keep up, but disorientation and fear have given way to exhaustion, and I'm distracted by the need for water and sleep. I've just about resolved to ask Aaron about the room and the blueprints tomorrow morning when the beam of my flashlight lands on a filing cabinet shoved against the wall beside the desk. It's packed so fully, the drawers are spilling out their contents, with one fat file seemingly dominating the drawer. In thick black marker, the file label reads Golden Apple Amusement Park. My heartbeat quickens, and I grab for the file without thinking. Common sense should have made me rethink snooping in Mr. Peterson's study, but I seem to have lost common sense as I lost my way in this whining house. I try pulling the file from the drawer, but it's wedged in too tightly. Instead, all I manage is to dislodge a couple of papers, sending another few fluttering to the floor to join an already growing pile of spilled contents. The first piece of paper is a letter printed on thick stationery with the kind of letterhead that embosses the paper. Okay, I'll be right back. From the offices of Lynn, Gruber, and Fonseca. Dear Mr. Peterson, it is with the prejudice... Dear Mr. Peterson, it is with prejudice that we inform you we are disinclined to pursue charges against you, your business holdings, and any assets thereby affected by said holdings. While we feel a significant portion of the liability of the death of our client's daughter lies in your hands, given the state court's findings placing sole responsibility on the Golden Apple Corporation, our client has elected not to pursue civil damages, finding you criminally responsible in the death of Lucy Yee. While we reserve the right to re-engage in proceedings at a later date, Consider this letter official notice that we are discontinuing pursuit of charges against you. One, Theodore Messrs. Peterson. Sincerely, oh, damn. I blink at the letter and translate the legal jargon as best I can. Their client's daughter was Lucy Yee. It must have been Lucy's parents suing Mr. Peterson for their daughter's death. But the state found the Golden Apple Corporation responsible, not Mr. Peterson, which means Mr. Peterson probably would have been absolved in civil court too. I picture my parents in that same situation, stone-faced in a courtroom while some faceless company is named as my killer. I wonder how it feels to hurt them hurt that badly, to not get an apology, to not be able to look anyone in the eye and say, "You're the reason I don't make jokes anymore or eat cake or go to parks because there are too many kids there who will remind me of the one I don't have anymore." I wonder how it feels to be robbed like that again and again. I wonder how it feels to know your dad was the real robber. I accidentally step on the pile of papers I've contributed to on the floor. In the shadows of the study, they look like grainy photographs of a forest, a construction site, a group of people crowded around a work table. But when I pick them up and lay them across the desk, the beam from my flashlight reveals something unexpected. The first picture is a photocopy of a newspaper article. Ground breaks on hometown landmark. Construction begins on buzzed about Golden Apple Amusement Park. Below the headline is a thick grove of trees. A bulldozer and a team of workers with chainsaws ready to clear the land Mr. Peterson is in the foreground. Construction hat high on his head, mustache curled to match his smile. But in the background, nearly out of frame, is a stooped figure lurking by one of the trees. I likely wouldn't have noticed him at all if not for the red ink encircling his figure, the pen retracing the circles so many times the page is torn. I might not have noticed it at all, but now that I do, there's no mistaking who it is. Blurry and marred in red ink, it's Aaron. He's younger, 5 years younger if it's at the start of the construction. But it's Aaron, and while he's blurry, it's hard to deny that his pose implies he's hiding. I push that page aside and find another photocopy of an article. Ahead of schedule, pressure mounts for Golden Apple Amusement Park to open by summer. In this picture, Mr. Peterson points to a crane swinging a beam across the framework of what was to become the base of the funhouse. Judging by the gaping mouth surrounding the beginning of a track, all eyes are on Mr. Peterson in the picture, including the crouched boy, circled in red, peeking out from the funhouse framing. The next article is dominated by an entire crew of men in vests and hard hats staring upward at a structure so tall it doesn't fit in the frame, which makes it more noticeable that one head stares straight ahead, or rather at Mr. Peterson standing at the front of the group. Aaron is once again encircled in red ink, hanging back by a pile of iron rods. Okay. There we go. So there is Mr. Peterson. It says, Peterson breaks ground. And then there's Aaron back there. And then there's some pictures of like their family. What's happening. And then over on this side, it shows like different stuff and where he is and all of them. Mr. Peterson stands at the front of the... Oh, I already read that part. Page after page shows Aaron nearly out of frame, Alexa, how do you pronounce Ousted?
I pronounce that ousted, but I'm always
Alexa,
working on
stop. Page after page shows Aaron nearly out of frame, ousted from his hiding place by the red pen's wielder. I look around at the rest of the office, its hulking furniture casting distorted shadows across the framed pictures of the Peterson family. It strikes me that this is the only room in the entire house where I've seen any family photos at all. But when I examine the pictures closer, I see that they're also been marred by red ink. The placid, smiling faces of Miss Peterson and Maya grace most of the pictures, as does Mr. Peterson. The only unsmiling face is Aaron's. And as the Peterson family ages, their smiles turn from placid to pinched, and Aaron's face disappears altogether behind the scribble of that angry red pen. Only one picture offers more than a scribble. What appears to be the last family portrait taken of the Petersons, judging by their ages. Beside the etched-away face of Aaron is what I first read at his name. Wait, what? Beside the etched-away face of Aaron is what I first read as his name. But when I look closer, I see that the word isn't Aaron. It's Omen. I drop the flashlight and the room goes black. I stand in place, trembling on a squeaky floorboard. It's too late to avoid. Then, from somewhere in the darkness, I hear the slow creak of the door swinging open. I was so engrossed in the pictures, I didn't even hear the footsteps return. The thump, the drag, the labored movement of whatever has emerged into the room. It's so close that I can hear breathing I know isn't mine. Run. Run! My stupid feet aren't stuck. Wait. But my stupid feet are stuck. I want to be dreaming. Please, let me be dreaming. But I'm not. I know I'm not. The breathing grows louder, like an animal preparing to pounce. I hold perfectly still, my own defense in the pitch black of the room. But whoever is here knows I'm here. Floorboards moan under the weight of feet that methodically make their way toward me. They step to the glass case, rattling the wards on their shelves. They step to the desk, with its papers exposed to my prying eyes. They step to the filing cabinet, its papers still protruding from the drawer. They step so close to me that I can feel that hot, menacing breath on the back of my neck. In its exhale, I hear my name. Nicholas, the voice says. You shouldn't be here. A soft glow illuminates the floor and the flashlight at my feet. Looming over me is an impossibly long shadow. I turn because I don't know what else to do. I can't run. I can't hide. All I can do is face the shadow. Heat hits my face and temporarily blinds me. And when my eyesight returns, the first thing I make out is Argyle. I tilt my head to reach the top of Mr. Peterson's face, and I don't like what I see. His eyes, darkened and distorted by the flame of the candle he holds, are barely visible. Below his eyes are the flaring nostrils of a man whose house I should not be wandering without permission, whose private office I should absolutely not be rummaging through. His thick mustache curls upward mockingly, bellying the frown that's only barely visible underneath. I look down at my bare feet again, terrified and embarrassed, which is the only reason I notice that Mr. Peterson's shoes are on, in the middle of the night. I look up again, taking in his pants and his Argyle sweater. I'm in my pajamas, but Mr. Peterson is fully clothed. I struggle for answers to questions I think he might ask, but he doesn't ask anything. In fact, he hasn't said another word since I turned around to face him. He's just staring. I watch the light from his candle flicker and sway in the draft of the house, but Mr. Peterson holds it perfectly still. That's how I notice his hands, smeared and coated in something thick and dark. My eyes travel upward, and I don't know if I'm expecting an explanation for why he's here, what's on his hands, why he's up so late, or if he's expecting an explanation from me. But what I'm not expecting is that smile, that horrible, out of place, unhappy smile that suddenly crept out from under his mustache and spread across his face. Then he starts to laugh. It's a low rumble from his gut at first, but soon it travels through his chest and his throat and out of his mouth. And the light, airy giggle is so vastly different from the growl it started as, I am all at once aware of how much of the room he takes up. His shoulders are broad enough to equal twice my width. I can barely see the doorway behind him, and all I want is that doorway. Then, as suddenly as his horrifying laughter started, it stops, and he holds the silence between us with a grasp as tight as that on his candle. He leans down again, inches from my face, and meets my eyes.
Nighty-night, Nicky,
he says, and with a single puff, he blows out the candle and steps aside. I sprint out of the room and find the stairs, running on feet I can't even feel anymore. I run past the hallway I was so desperate to traverse quietly moments ago. In Aaron's room, I swing the door shut behind me, locking it against what lurks in the darkness. I look to the top bunk where Aaron sleeps, certain the commotion woke him. But it doesn't even snore anymore. He lies still, his face obscured by the comforter, and I wait for a second to see if he's actually awake behind there. When only silence greets me, I'm left with the sound of my heart pounding away in my ears, my teeth chattering in violent rhythm as I fight to calm myself. Then, once I am finally still, I prop my pillow against the wall and watch the door from the bottom bunk, flinching every time the wood of the old house pops or settles. I've forgotten the drawer full of possibilities. I've forgotten the water I never drank. I've forgotten the excitement I had about finally making a friend as strange as me. And that mad smile that grew from a face. Oh, fuck. All I remember is the music in the basement. Photo after photo of Aaron's circled image, the grime on Mr. Peterson's hands, and that mad smile that grew from a face that's forgotten joy. Look at this here. Oh my god, okay. Not that much left, okay. That's fine. Chapter 12. I throw my gray hoodie on over my backpack, but I should have known Dad would see it anyway. Gonna start on studying, Narf? He says, flickering. Okay. I'll be right back. Ow! Hour 46 minutes and 5 seconds. Okay. How are you doing today? I'm doing just fine. Okay. Getting a head start on studying, Narf? He says, flicking a finger toward my hunchback. Never too early, I say, then shrug. It's the best antidote to his inquiries. A vague response with a shrug. He shakes his head and goes back to whisking whatever is bubbling on the stove. I can barely see the top of Mom's head under all the steam emanating from dinner.
She doesn't seem to notice, though. She's onto something. Be safe, she says, without looking up, before she knows where I'm going. Going to errands, I say, even though I think I could have gotten away with saying nothing at all. You're spending an awful lot of time over there, Dad says, whisking so hard he's done a little dance from the hips down. Whatever happened to Miguel's son Enzo? The Petersons don't mind, I say, avoiding the topic of Enzo altogether. Lou, we really should have them over, he says. But Mom raises her hand to stop him, still not looking up from whatever formula has her rapt attention. 7 weeks. Whoa, fart mouth. 7 weeks, she says, like we're supposed to know what she means. More actually, Dad does know what she means. Honey, come on. Nope, she says, and we all know it's the end of the conversation. Whatever she says next is just meant to educate us, not to debate. 7 weeks and no invitation over. They don't want to know us, we don't need to know them. She actually means a lot more than she says. We've lived in enough places to understand the weight of under a non-invite, or a failure to say hello, or the silence that follows when Dad introduces Lou, my wife, or Mom points to Jay, my husband. Maybe it's because Lou, my wife, has at times been described as abrasive, or Jay, my husband, has had to call far too many newspapers his newspaper to be considered a real newsman. Maybe it's because the Roth family is a Jewish one, or maybe it's because our house is older, or our cereal is off-brand, or our license plates are from another state, or our accents don't quite match this side of the country. What we know by now is that we don't need to know. By now is that we don't need to know them. Is Mom's way of protecting us from what people say when they're trying to be polite, or what they don't say when they're trying to be rude. This isn't the conversation I want to have tonight, though. Not any night, really, but especially not tonight. I just want to get out of the door before I give myself away. I'll talk to them, okay? I say, and Mom makes a psh sound. Don't bother, she says, but she says it with a little sing-songy voice, so I can tell she's not too upset. Not at the moment, anyways. She's deep in the throes of her research now. I can tell by the way she keeps cracking her knuckles. Don't be too late, Dad says, but he's smiling at Mom like he always does. My backpack and the amount of time I spent across the street are already distant memories. The Petersons' front door is open a crack, and I look around for anyone in the yard. It's empty, though. In fact, the whole house seems quiet. I knock softly on the door before opening it a little wider. Hello? Aaron? Anyone there? Then a little softer. Mr. Peterson? I've seen less and less of Aaron's dad lately. A development I couldn't be happier about after our encounter in his study I still haven't been able to find again. Even in the daytime now, not that I want to. Stranger than that, though, is the way no one else in the family seems to bring up his increasing absence. It's like he's sort of just fading away. I hover by the door for a minute before pulling out Aaron's note. My house, at 5 o'clock. I check my watch. It's 5:03. Normally, I'm not such a stickler for time, but I'm more nervous for this prank than I've been about the others. Maybe it's because I haven't had an opportunity to test the synthesizer with another audio system. Maybe it's because I've been on edge ever since that night at Aaron's. I try asking Aaron about it in the morning, but I don't really know what it was I saw. Whatever it was, one thing was clear. Mr. Peterson sees something in Aaron, and judging by Aaron's presence in all those pictures, he sees something in his dad, too. What that is
I can barely begin to guess, but it has something to do with Golden Apple Amusement Park. I look at my watch again. 5:05. Miss Peterson? Miss Peterson! I try again, then knock a little louder on the open door. Diane? This is definitely an intrusion. Aaron and I might have had solid plans, but that plan didn't include me strolling through his house when no one's here. The door is open, though. Maybe Aaron meant for me to come in. I'm almost to the kitchen before it dawns on me that something could be wrong. I turn in every direction. The kitchen, the stairway, the 3 hallways that lead to different corners of the house, then back to the open front door. Okay, I've seen all I need to see, I whisper, resolved to give Aaron a hard time later about chickening out. I turn back toward the door and straight into the broad chest of a towering Mr. Peterson. Aaron's not here. I back up so fast I bump into the couch, nearly falling over it. The door was open, I say stupidly. Mr. Peterson doesn't say anything. He just looks at me. No, that's not right. He looks through me. I bet he could see what I had for lunch. Not for long, though, because I'm about to lose it. I called for... Aaron's not here, he says again, and this time it sounds a lot more like, get out of my house before I melt you into a human pile for wax with my death ray eyes. Right, okay, absolutely. I was just on my way out. I babble all the way to the door, closing it so fast that I catch my heel and scrape the skin, but I hardly feel the sting as I skitter across the street, eyes over my shoulder, waiting for Mr. Peterson to come lumbering through the door and lunging toward me. I'm to the sidewalk when I allow myself to run through what I saw. Mr. Peterson was in his usual all-guy sweater, but something was very wrong. His mustache was curled so crisply that the tips practically touched his eyebrows. He had that gunk on his hands again, but this time he'd smeared it on his pants too. His hair was a mess, and from the smell of him, I'd guess he hadn't showered in a few days. And there was something else, something truly unsettling. He looked scared. No, scratch that. He looked terrified. Where have you been? I spin hard enough this time. I do feel the sting of my heel. I buckle under the burn and look down to see that I've started bleeding through my sock and all over the back of my Vans. When I look up, Aaron is leaning against the streetlight looking bored. What do you mean, where have I been? Where have you been? I ask, and it comes out a little angrier than I mean for it to. But my shoes... These are actual Vans, not knockoffs. I was so lucky to get them for my birthday last year. Dad got a nice bonus for once. But now they've got blood on them. And why the heck wasn't Aaron where he said he'd be? Whoa, he says, putting his hands up in surrender. I didn't realize the plan was firm. Seriously, I say, folding the heel on the canvas under my foot so I can minimize the damage. Gee, sorry, he says, and it's not enough. I'm mad at him for acting like it's no big deal. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe I'm mad that the more I think I understand Aaron, the more mysterious his whole life seems. Hey, he says, this time looking genuinely concerned. This is gonna be epic. I back down because he's not wrong. This is going to be epic. The only thing that's gotten me through trips to the natural grocer with my mom and Miss Tillman's phony smiles and condescension is the thought of showing people what her fake enlightenment really is. A bunch of farts disguised to sound like Karen. She isn't Zen. She's just plain old greedy. I start off ahead of Aaron, still not talking over my frustration, until he says, "Your Vans look cooler like that." Then I'm okay, because he knew. I shift my backpack to my other shoulder, and we take side streets to the natural grocer. We tell each other it's so we won't be seen, but really I think it's because that's the long way. And maybe I'm not the only one who's more nervous for this prank. You remember the plan, right? I say. Dude, it's my plan. Of course I remember it. We agreed that I would be the one to distract Miss Tillman while Aaron hooks up the synthesizer. I should be handling the install, but it's more believable that I would be looking for a birthday gift for my mom. Miss Peterson has already made her opinion of Miss Tillman's store pretty known. Sorry, my vision's getting blurry. We're almost to the store now. We wait for the rush hour traffic at 6th Street to clear, then frogger our way through the straggling cars, and parked vans outside of the Natural Grocer, hoping the loaded backpack isn't a dead giveaway. Remember to disable the primary audio outlet first, I say to Aaron. I know. And you know how to start the volume super low, right? Right, super low. Because the synthesizer is 3 times as amplified as a normal audio system. He says. So if you don't start it low, dude, calm down, Aaron says. You do realize we're toast if we get caught, I say. More than with Farm and Llama, like burnt to a crisp toast. Like butt on fire toast. Yeah, I get it. Flames and roasted nuts and all that, Aaron says, but somehow I feel unconvinced. Damn it. The little bell above the door announces our arrival at the Natural Grocer. Smoothly, Aaron slips the backpack from my shoulder and makes his way to the back of the store, snaking through the aisles with the more obscure products. Miss Tillman interrupts her own conversation with a customer and takes a moment to eye me. She didn't see Aaron. When she's done extolling the benefits of wheatgrass to a skeptical-looking man, she turns her full attention to me. Hello! Nikki, I remind her. Even though every time I've been in here with my mom, she's reminded Miss Tillman that my name isn't Mickey. Right, and what brings you in today? I'm looking for a birthday gift for my mom, I say, just like Aaron and I rehearse. Ow! Miss Tillman looks shocked, and I can feel myself getting defensive already. Do you have anything you could recommend, I ask, pretending to look around at the shelves but really searching for Aaron. I see his head bobbing down the last aisle by the stairs to the office. The intercom is by the little window that looks out over the whole store from the loft. For your mother, you say? I can't do Aaron's voice because my freaking Penelope's voice because my throat hurts so bad. Miss Tillman says, and a weird little smile creeps across her face. Yeah, my mom, I say pointedly, my full focus back on Miss Tillman because now I know what she's getting at. Is there something wrong with that? No, Miss Tillman says, and she's terrible at faking sincerity. I just didn't think she was. That she was what? I can feel my face getting hot. Well, you know, the products I sell are for people who have reached a certain level of enlightenment. She has a PhD, I say. Miss Tillman smiles again. What I mean is, one needs to possess more than academic intelligence. She explains like she's doing me a favor, like there's no way I could possibly understand. I turn away so she can't see how red my face is getting, or how my eyes are starting to feel wet. Then, as I blink the burning from my eyes, I see Aaron's face in the office window above. He's smiling and giving me a thumbs up, and I think I've never felt more powerful in my whole life. I turn back to Miss Tillman, voice steady. I'll just look around. You've got customers, I say, nodding to the small line that's formed in the time since she's been talking to me. There's a man with the wheatgrass and a woman with twin kindergartners playing jump rope with the coiled aisle separators. Miss Tillman leaves without excusing herself and scolds the kids for playing on the rope before reaching down to grab the microphone on the refrigerator, the register.
Cashier assistance,
is what her mouth forms. But all that comes out the loudspeaker is the sound of Aaron's juiciest, loudest, most earth-shattering fart we could record after a night of Cerviva bars and two hearts bent on class warfare. A collective silence follows as we all process what just happened. The kindergartners are the ones to break first.
Mommy, she tooted,
says the girl, laughing riotously.
Say excuse me,
the little boy admonishes. Color drains from Miss Tillman's face as she starts to deny it, but her finger is still on the microphone's button, and instead of
I did not,
her mouth farts again. The twins squeal and clap at the performance while the mother tries to settle them. I look at the man at the front of the line. Must be the wheatgrass, I say. Oh, wait, fuck. Sorry, stupid. Must be the wheatgrass, I say, and he sets it down so fast the canister tips over and rolls down the aisle. I look up at the office, but I don't see Aaron anymore. Miss Tillman pursues the wheatgrass down the aisle as the mother loses control of the twins altogether.
Let me try,
says the boy, who reaches the microphone first. He presses the button and releases another echoing fart, and the kids squeal and trade places.
Mommy,
the little girl screams into the microphone, sending flatulence thundering across the store. A few more people I didn't even know were in the store popped their heads up from the aisles like groundhogs, looking mortified, like they were the ones who'd let it rip. Then they turned their silent judgment on Miss Tillman, who's still chasing the can of wheatgrass down the far aisle, right toward the stairs to the office. I hear her before I see Aaron. I hear her before I see Aaron.
Yeah!
Oh no, that was not good, she says, and another fart tears through the store. The kindergartners have teamed up now, pressing their mouths against the microphone at the same time. The speakers begin to crackle, and the elation I felt for one glorious minute turns to horror as I realize that the speakers are getting ready to blow. Aaron must have turned the volume up too far.
I knew you two were up to something. You may have pulled one over on Betty Bevel, but not me. Not this enlightened soul.
Miss Tillman shrieks, chasing Aaron up the aisle, barely sidestepping the canister of wheatgrass. Busted, Aaron hisses as he flies past me.
Stop right there,
Miss Tillman screams, lunging after Aaron. But now I'm ahead of him, trying to pry the kindergartners off the microphone before they blow the speakers out.
Wait, your turn. Wait, your turn,
one of them says while the other bites my hand. Aye! I pull my hand back just as the mother yanks him off of me. But the little girl is still at the microphone, scream farting into the microphone as the speakers pop and crack. Aaron jumps on top of the checkout counter to escape Miss Tillman's wrath, but it's not him she's reaching for. Instead, she reaches under the counter and slams her hand on a hidden button. Alarm bells sound, and red lights flash, and suddenly a mesh gate closes over both entrances of the store. I look at Aaron, and his wide eyes confirm what I really wanted him to deny. We're cooked. Beneath the synthesizer and the alarm, the speakers buckle under the pressure, emitting one ear-splitting pop before dying under a fizzle of static. Magically, the alarm still blares from a backup system. A tap at the door catches Miss Tillman's attention, and she rushes to let the guests in. A tired-looking uniformed officer strolls in, hands over his ears, and surveys the store for what went wrong.
These boys! Rest these boys!
Miss Tillman screams, but the officer refuses to uncover his ears. Marcia, the siren, please! He nods to the register, evidently aware that Miss Tillman is paranoid enough to have installed a full-blown Fort Knox-level alarm system in her stupid store. She hurries to the counter and types in a code, silencing the siren, stopping the red lights from flashing. The officer takes a slow scan of the non-silent store. meeting the gaze of every shocked face until it comes to Miss Tillman, who has been waiting impatiently to speak, tapping her fingers on the countertop. The officer takes his wire-framed glasses off, drags his palm down his feet, then slowly puts his glasses on again. "Go on and tell me what happened, Marcia."
I think it's obvious, Keith.
She says, and it strikes me that she and the officer are on a first-name basis, which at first grosses me out because I think maybe they're dating or something, but taking one more look at Officer Keith, it's clear there's someone else in Ravenbrook who dislikes Miss Tillman as much as Aaron and I. "Well then, pretend like it's not clear to all of us," he says.
That lady farted,
Says the boy a bit my hand.
I did not.
"It was the wheatgrass," says the man at the front of the line. "Nope, survivor bars," Aaron says, and the twins dissolve into giggles. Aaron starts to laugh too, and I can't believe it. We're up to our eyeballs in trouble, and he's laughing like a kindergartner.
It wasn't. Oh, for heaven's sakes,
Says Miss Tillman.
these boys did something to my intercom system.
She says boys like she doesn't actually believe we're boys. Urchins, maybe, or aliens, or meat products. Officer Keith looks between me and Aaron, then settles on me. "Is that true, young man? Did you vandalize Miss Tillman's intercom?" It's more like it wasn't. I did it. The entire store turns to Aaron. I'm too shocked to say anything for a moment. "You did what exactly?" asked Officer Keith. I blew out her speakers. I was the one. It was all me," he says. "I guess the gas made me do it." "That's not true," I say, trying to understand why Aaron would take the fall, why he's making so light of it. "It is true," he says calmly, like he's lied thousands of times before. "No, it's not. Aaron, what are you..."
It was both of them.
Miss Tillman shrieks, and Officer Keith puts his hands up. Okay. I think I've got a clear enough picture of what's going on here," he says, looking back at the boy who's accused Miss Tillman of farting. "Sounds to me like a couple young gentlemen owe Miss Tillman a heartfelt apology and a new sound system." A rock sinks in my stomach at the thought of how much a new sound system will run. How I'm ever going to scrape together enough to pay for it. I could barely convince of how I'm going to apologize to Miss Tillman. I look at Aaron, but he won't meet my gaze. Our parents arrive at the same time, and this is how they finally meet. With Officer Keith between them, explaining that they owe Miss Tillman $5,000 for new speakers, describing the prank in enough detail to take all the magic out of it that it might have held after the seriousness of our offense had passed. Mom and Miss Peterson catch each other staring a couple of times. I notice, and in these moments, they almost look like the same women, strong and tired and angry, and not altogether surprised. Dad stands behind my mom, arms folded tight across his chest. Mr. Peterson stands beside Aaron, and this is the first time today I actually see fear in Aaron's eyes. I want to say goodbye to Aaron, but something tells me this wouldn't be the worst thing to do right now. This would be the worst thing to do right now. I immediately regret not trying once we get in the car, though, because the first thing out of Mom's mouth is, I hope you had fun with your friend, because that's the last time you're going to see of him." Why? Mom, that's not fair. You want to know what about fair? Let's talk about what my signing bonus is going to buy, shall we? Do you suppose it's a new washing machine? No, I mutter, rubbing the bruise on my hand where the kindergartner bit me.
Are we going to get cable so you can watch all those ridiculous movies you've been begging me to see? I don't answer. No. Oh, that's right. We're going to be buying Little Miss Namaste a new sound system so she can sell more $80 salt crystals to morons who can't see how pretentious... Lou, Dad says quietly, and she comes down immediately. Not that she should. Not only did I cause Mom to have to give money to a person who looks down on people like us, but I have no idea when I'm going to be able to hang out with Aaron again. Tonight was supposed to be epic. I've never laughed so hard as when we were recording those farts for the synthesizer that night at his house. Now I can hardly remember why we thought this would be such a good idea. I've never felt worse. Not after my grandma died. Not after that time I ate expired SpaghettiOs and thought I'd die of food poisoning. Not after we had to leave my favorite town, where I managed by some miracle to blend in. Nothing feels worse than being driven home with your parents explaining to you that you've disappointed them. Nothing feels this bad, except being forbidden to hang out with one person you've met in your entire life who maybe, just maybe, knows what it's like to be utterly alone and not okay with it. That feels worst of all. Chapter 13. After a week at home with no TV, no games, no dessert, and no outside contact, I've grown feral. I keep my shades shut in my room, and on the rare occasion I venture out for meals, the light hurts my eyes. I've showered twice. I've left the protest state of punishment and just given up on basically everything, which I think is what finally wears Dad down. He has to get some work done this weekend, and watching me sulk around the house is making him edgy. Still, I almost fight him on it because there's pretty much nothing more embarrassing than when your parents try to make friends for you. Except when your dad calls it a play date. Dad, answer me seriously. Do you know how old I am? I didn't mean an actual play date. Dad's hovering over an early proof of tomorrow's newspaper, a red pencil behind his ear, and another in his shirt pocket. Because I've got this case of the sniffles I can't kick, and you know how grumpy I get after naps. Okay, Narf. You're a crusty old sag, a bona fide adult with bona fide adult interests. You don't play with friends, you. This new thought tugs him away from his proof. What the heck do you humans your age do? His eyes scan me for answers, none of them the right ones. Even Dad knows that, and he looks torn between quizzing me further or meeting his deadline. Just do me a favor, he says. Go hang out with Miguel's kid. If you don't like him, I owe you a Twinkie. A Twinkie. Dad means business. He's pondering the big, important stuff. Which is why I up the ante. 2 Twinkies, I say, and Dad lifts his eyebrow. That's right, cowboy. Now Dad knows I'm pondering the big life stuff too. The kind that has me debating how much I'm willing to do to make friends in this place. You've got a deal, Dad says. The Espositos live 3 blocks away in the newer part of town, and I fight back the usual pangs of envy when I look at the neatly trimmed hedges and colorful flower beds and fresh paint jobs. The Espositos probably own their house. They could probably paint it any color they want, or put as many holes in the walls as they need to. They could mount a basketball hoop or dig an in-ground pool in the backyard. I wonder if it's too late to hate Enzo. He was cool at the square, but maybe his dad was counting on him to take pity on me. Then he opens the door. Cool hat, he says, and he runs everything
and he ruins everything because he's nice again. Enzo pushes the door open and leads me through the living room to the kitchen. The house is big and new, but it doesn't have the fancy furniture and white carpets I was expecting. The sofa looks old and worn, with its cracked leather and the floors are covered in a warm, rose-colored tile that makes our voices echo when we talk. Enzo tears open a bag of chips that we eat by the fistful. My dad says your dad made him laugh so hard once he puked. He says, I believe him. My dad makes everyone laugh like that. My dad said your dad went to school on a full ride. I say with my mouth full. Academic. He's gonna be pretty disappointed when he figures out I'm not as smart as him. He laughs first, so I feel like I can too. Enzo's that breed of nerd who can laugh at himself and skim by on Medicore grades. Something undefinable keeps him protected from embarrassment. I think it's a total lack of self-awareness. Enzo also has more video games than I've ever heard of. We sink into 2 beanbag chairs, boot up a tag team brawling game, and trade insults the way you can when you're a pro basketball player or a dragon slayer or half human, half bird ninja warrior, because insults don't really matter anyway. By the time we look up from the screen, I'm blinking from the light of the TV screen and burping nacho cheese. I don't think I'm going to be able to bend my thumbs tomorrow, I say when my character is KO'd. I lean back and rub my eyes. So, who else have you met yet? He asks. I mean, it's practically impossible to meet anyone when school's out. Yeah, I agree. Pretty much just you and Aaron. Enzo keeps button mashing and staring at the screen. He hasn't died yet. His warrior lizard is still throttling some Catman. He says, and at first I think it's a distracted but then his lizard warrior dies. And he keeps staring at the screen without restarting the game. And now I think his had to do with Aaron. You don't like him, do you? I ask, feeling weird bringing it up. But the thing is, I've made a whopping 2 friends in Ravenbrooks, and it'd be great if they didn't hate each other. And if Enzo really does have something against Aaron because being not rich, then screw him and his impressive collection of video games. So here's the collection of video games. Enzo looks uncomfortable, and I take that as a good sign because if he is a shallow jerk, at least he feels bad about it. He sets his remote control down, but keeps staring at the game's title track with the sound on mute. My little sister, Maritza, she's the same age as Maya, Enzo says. I didn't even know Enzo had a sister. She used to hang out a bunch with Maya and Lucy. He looks cautiously at me. You know, the girl who... I nod, thinking back to the grainy newspaper photo of the Golden Apple Young Avengers Club. The third girl in the picture. The caption called her Maritza. So since I had to watch my sister and Aaron had to watch his sister, we used to hang out a lot together, too. Okay, I say, racing for whatever bomb Enzo seems so reluctant to drop. So far, the only weird part of this story is the fact that Enzo's sister was the other girl in the picture, and she and Maya used to play with a girl who isn't alive anymore. We used to mess around at the construction site for the park. We were there all the time, and all the girls did was ask questions about how the rides worked. They were there so much, Aaron's dad even made up this Young Adventures Club for them. I thought it was pretty cool, but Aaron, I could feel the bomb dropping. It's like the air is getting heavier. I don't know, Enzo says. It's like Aaron didn't want them to be a part of the park, or around his dad at all. But it wasn't like he was jealous of us being with his dad. I don't think he liked his dad very much, Enzo says. But I can tell that's not quite what he means to say. Like he was afraid of him, I asked. And it feels like like a betrayal, even wondering about what Aaron feels when he's not there to tell me if I'm full of it. Enzo's eyes widen though, so I know I've hit on something. After Lucy, he says, then trails off. He takes a drink of soda absently before continuing again. It just got weirder. I'd bring Maritza over to their house, but it was like Maya and Aaron didn't really want us around. This is a turn I wasn't expecting. If Enzo wasn't icing Aaron out because he didn't have money, why would Aaron be the one blowing Enzo off? It was what Mr. Peterson said to Maritza, though. That's what creeped me out the most. My guts churn because I think I'm starting to understand. I swallow, but my throat still feels dry. We were all in the kitchen, but I stopped her in the hallway. She didn't tell me until after we got home. After that, we didn't hang out with Maya or Aaron anymore. I ask, even though I don't really want to know, what did he say to her? Enzo looked straight at me for the first time that afternoon. He asked, "Did you see Lucy fly? She looked just like an angel." Oh wait. He asked, Did you see Lucy fly? She looked just like an angel." It's like all the sound has left the room, and the only thing I can hear is the fan blowing in Enzo's tired game box. The lizard warrior cycles through his fight sequence over and over on the screen, but all the fight has left me. I'm not sure who to defend anymore. Aaron, Enzo, Maya? What does make a person bad then? Being happy when bad things happen. One thing I know though, it's getting harder and harder to defend Mr. Peterson. At the least, he's just incapable of saying the right thing at the right time. At the worst, there's something really wrong in the Peterson house. Made it to chapter 14. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you're notified when future videos come out. This has been a 2 hour and 25 minute, 25 second video as recording this, but it might go down. Anyways, that's all. Talk to you later, everyone. Bye bye.